Hello everybody, my name's Gina and I'm part of the new Carnival Company team. Let me introduce you to Hannah.
Hello, my name's Hannah.
And let me introduce you to Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie.
And welcome to our virtual Carnival Club. Over the next 10 weeks we'll be showing you how to make some simple carnival costumes out of general household waste. For instance, we've got newspaper, magazines, we've got plastic pots and trays, crisp bags, inside crisp bags are nice and shiny, boxes, some inner tubes of toilet rolls, plastic bags, also some old clothes that I was going to recycle. They'd be quite useful. And I've also printed some pictures off the internet which you might like to use, and some you could colour in as well. If you haven't got a printer, don't worry, you can draw your own and colour them in. Okay, so I've been collecting lots of rubbish over the last few weeks and I've been experimenting with many different ways of making costumes. Let me show you some more materials that I've been collecting. So what makes a really good carnival costume? We believe a good carnival costume should always have a headdress, a neck collar or a body costume. It can have a belt or a skirt, or it could have a loincloth. We like to decorate our wrists and our ankles, and we usually have something to hold in our hands so that we can dance down the streets, like a flag or a staff, or it could be a hula hoop. Or sometimes we have shakers that we can make a noise with. We also like to consider lots of colours, patterns, and lots of movement in fabrics as well. We usually work to a design, but we may not be able to do this with the materials that we've got. So it's up to you whether you want to design a costume and find the materials to fit that design, or you might work the other way around and look at your materials first and then think about what your design might be. Each week, Hannah and I will be showing you some ideas on how to make these costume pieces. And Katie will also be working with you to learn and experiment with carnival performance, dance and rhythm. Once you've made your creation, you can upload it to our Facebook page so we can share it with others. We'd love to see what you've been creating. I know there's some very talented people out there. Each weekly session is supported with some documents that you can read or print off. And they've got little tips on there of how to make things, some variations on what we're showing in the videos. There's also going to be some patterns and templates that you can print off and use. If you haven't got a printer, don't worry, there's going to be a step-by-step guide of how to make these patterns yourself at home. Our aim at the new Carnival Company is to bring everyone together for a let loose parade later on in the year. Once things have settled down a bit, we want you to come out with your friends and your family, put your costumes on, join in the parade and party down the streets of Ryde. We'll let you know a little bit more information about when this will be once we know. So, is it time to start making? I reckon, let's go. Welcome everybody to Carnival Flags. This one has been made out of plastic bags that have been mounted onto a stick just with sellotape. And the stick I found in the garden. You could also use, if you wanted to, newspaper. Okay, some nice colours on that newspaper, so that would work fine. We could use coloured paper or card, or you could use some fabric. This is an old pillowcase that I've cut up, so I might use that later on. So the tools that we will need is sellotape, a stapler, possibly a stapler, might come in handy, and some double-sided tape. You can use that instead of the sellotape if you wish. Also, you need to be using scissors, so we do need adult supervision with this because they are sharp and can cut your fingers. And you also need a stick to mount your flags onto. So here's a stick that I found in the garden, that's a garden cane. I've got another one, this is for using with plants in the house. I've got a stick here that I found when I was out walking. It's a little bit wonky, but I don't think that matters. And another one here, this is just a thinner stick that will be fine for a small flag. So I'm just going to clear back and I'll show you demo one. So to start off with, I've decided to use my lovely green stick. Okay, it's quite a nice length to that. You can, when you make your flags, you can make them a lot longer, but I'm just making them small for a demo purpose. Okay, I've got a plastic bag. This is quite a nice thick rubbish bag actually, and I love the colour of that, so I'm going to be using the blue bag. And just a simple carrier bag here. It's a little bit thinner. I'm going to be using that. I think it's going to give me lots of movement in my flag. So you can make templates if you like, but for this purpose I think we can actually just go straight in and cut the plastic. So I'm just going to start at the corner here, and I'm just going to cut my plastic into a point. I'm just going to let the scissors do the work, just a few little snips, and it should just glide up plastic like so. Okay, and then I'm going to come up the other side and make it into a nice pointy triangle like that. You really do need to have adult supervision with this. You want to make sure you're not scratching your work surface as well, and these can give a nasty cut if you're not careful. So I'm going to pop those down. So let me show you what I've just cut out. A nice triangular shape like that. And then if you have a look on my flag, I had 2 triangles on there, and I've got just some straight cut down pieces of the thinner plastic there, and slightly different lengths. So it's up to you how you design your flag. They could be all really long or shorter, or they could be tapered like I've done on that flag there. So I'm going to open out my carrier bag. Let me turn that round a little bit actually, you can see it a little better. Here's the handles up here, and I quite like the width of that handle, so I'm going to use that to my advantage. Where's my scissors gone? Here we go. Right, and I'm going to cut down very carefully, cut down the plastic bag. There we go, all the way to the bottom. And I'm going to do the same to the other side as well. So you might want somebody to hold the plastic while you're cutting. Just little snips all the way down. When I use my scissors, I always tend to start cutting right at the very end there, so you get a long cut with your scissors. Okay, so it moves all the way down to the tip. So now I have 2 pieces already cut out. I need to decide the length of those. Unfortunately, I've got a little bit of writing on there, but hey, you know, I haven't got any plain white plastic bags, so I'm just going to go with what I've got. I'm just going to cut that a little bit off there, like so. I'm going to keep that scrap bit because it might come in handy for later, so I'm just going to put that to one side. So here's my length I've got here. This actually opens out into 2. I'm going to cut that top bit off. That's the top of the handle. I'm just going to cut that off, and now I've created 2 pieces for my flag. They are the same length actually, so I might just trim one a bit shorter so it's tapered, but it's up to you. You can just leave them long if you want to. And this one I want a little bit longer, so I've got 3 different sizes there. So I've got that shorter length, the mid length, and then I want a longer length. So I'm going to cut that top bit off again so that this opens out in a minute, and then I make that just a little bit longer. So it looks like I'm going to have a little bit of writing on the end of my bit there, but I don't think that really matters too much. Let's open that out again. There we go. Oh, all that bit's come off. We'll save that for later. So there we go. There we go. We've got 3 long lengths. Best thing to do now, I think, is to lay it down onto the table and pop your triangular flag bits in the middle and just arrange it how you want your flag to look on the pole, so you can actually see what it's going to look like. Now these 2 triangles are exactly the same length, and that's the smaller end, and that's the longer end, the shorter and the longer end. I might actually make this triangle here a little bit smaller, so we can just do that by pulling it back a little bit and cutting off the end like so. Just minding my fingers with the scissors there. Okay, so I think that looks good for my flag. Next thing is we're going to take some sellotape, and I'm just going to pop the very top one on the end there. I'm just going to leave a little bit on the end there, about 2 inches or about 6 centimetres, and I'm going to wrap that round and I'm going to sellotape it. Now I've left this bit on the end here because I might put some tassels on with the little bits that we had cut off, the scrap pieces. Right, let's get a bit of sellotape. That seems to have gone everywhere. Let's pop that there so you can see. Can you see that there? Yep. Right, let's take just a little bit of sellotape off. I only need a small piece. And I'm making sure that this flap is wrapped all the way round and just sort of tucked underneath a little bit like so. Again, this is a little bit tricky, so you might want somebody to give you a hand. So I'll just roll that round, and then I'm just going to pop a little bit of sellotape all the way along. So it's actually sellotape to the stick and to the plastic. Now I'm going to do the bottom bit, that end as well. So I'm using the tape with my left hand. This is a bit tricky. So you definitely need somebody to give you a hand with this. And I'm going to pop another bit of tape on there. Squeeze it down. There we go. So that's the first ribbon on. Next I'm going to put my long flag on. Now this one I put a piece of double-sided tape on. So if you have got double-sided tape, you could peel this off now. And you could do this to all of them instead of using sellotape. Although I might use sellotape as well just to make sure it's secure. And I'm going to wrap that around like so. So if you've got double-sided tape, this is the method you might like to use. Even if you've got double-sided tape, I think I would still recommend putting a little bit of sellotape on each end. So now I'm going to cross the blue piece of the flag and the white piece of the flag and just popping that bit of sellotape on the end there just to join them up. And the same down this end, I'm going to go, oh, left hand again, a little bit onto my flag and onto the stick as well. Okay, let's give it a shake, make sure it's on there, it's looking good. Now I'm going to work all the way down to the end. Let's just show you one more time. So wrap that over, try and tuck it in if you can. It's a bit fiddly. And then I'm going to pop a little bit of tape over the white plastic and the blue plastic. Another piece down this end. So this will just stop your flags from coming off of the pole. There we go. And then I'm going to work all my way down to the end. Now I've attached all the flag pieces to my pole. Down the bottom here is a green stick showing. That might be fine. You might want to keep it like that. I think it's quite nice to put a bit of decoration around it. So I'm going to braid it with a small plastic. And also I've got a bit of stick showing at the end there. And I think I'm just going to add some tassels on there just to give it a little bit more decorations. Okay, let me show you how I do that. So if you've got some plastic left over, I've got some blue left over here, and I'm going to use my scissors and just cut a strip off it's about 3 centimetres width or 1 centimetre. I still work in feet and inches. There we go, I'll pop that to one side, pop my scissors down. So I've done a strip like that is going to be, I'm going to braid the bottom of my stick with that. That opens out actually, so I'm just going to cut that top bit off because that was the bottom of the bag, so that I've got 2 pieces in case I need it. If you've got double-sided tape, which I've got on the end here, you can peel that back, and then you must really need to put your stick to the side so you don't get these bits wrapped up in your braid. Then you can pop your double-sided tape onto the pole like that, and then you can start wrapping this all the way down to the end. If you haven't got double-sided tape, that's fine. You can just hold it on there, get some sellotape, and then just carefully wrap a bit of tape around there just to trap that on the end of the stick there. And again, you're just going to wrap this around. We call this braiding. Okay, I could have done this with the white plastic, but I've decided to use the blue plastic. It's a little bit thicker actually, it's a bit easier to use. And then when you get down to the end, just hold it really tight and add another bit of sellotape around. Then you can trim this piece off. Okay, I put that to one side. It might come in handy for something I'm doing later on. Now the top bit, I wouldn't mind adding some tassels on there. So I've got a nice decorated handle, and then I'm going to just add some tassels on the top. Now to do the tassels, I'm just going to have a little look what I've got, what I cut off. Now this is the bit that I cut off earlier that I wasn't using, so I'm going to use this for my tassels. Okay, What else have I got? I've got some blue here that I was using for the braiding. So I'm going to use some of this as well for my tassels. So I'm just going to cut some lengths off, like so. Another one here. So I've got some tassels. Doesn't matter if they're different lengths. They could be much longer than that if you wanted to, or they could be shorter. It's entirely up to you. Now I'm going to stick those onto each other with a little bit of sellotape. So I'm going to lay them down. I'm going to pop the blue one on top of that one. And if you look, I've left a little gap up here because I'm going to put a bit of double-sided tape, not double-sided tape, sorry, sellotape across to stick that down. So then I know that's not going to fall off of there. I'm going to turn it over and put another bit of ribbon. It doesn't matter which way round you put your colours, it's entirely up to you. Experiment with it really. This is just really to hold the tassels together all in one place. Okay, so they're now all together. Now I'm going to cut up these tassels, okay, to make those strips just a little bit thinner. So can you see what I'm doing there? So very carefully I'm cutting up through there. Not right to the end, just up to where your sellotape is. Again, this is most probably going to take 2 people to do this. You can see I'm finding that a little bit tricky. I could do with somebody holding the end for me. I think would really, really help. I'm just going to put one more cut down the end here. And we'll have a little look what it looks like, shall we? There we go. So you can open them up a little bit. There we go. Got a nice bit of movement going with it. And we're going to go back to our flag. Now there's the end piece that needs covering. So that's the top of our flag. And I'm just going to literally wrap that around the flag. Now if you wrap it around and travel at an angle, like we did when we was braiding, when you put the sellotape on, it will fix in quite firmly. So I'm just going to wrap that tape around there like so. You might add a couple of bits of tape just to make sure it's on there. Let me have a pull. Do you know what? I'm just going to put another little bit of tape round just in case, because we don't want it coming off. There we go. So there we have our plastic bag carnival flag. But like I said, you could use fabrics for this. You could use just paper card. You could even just use newspaper. You could use plain paper as well, and you could decorate it and colour it in. It's entirely up to you. So that is demo number 1. Yay! Demo 2 for carnival flags. Here I've got a flag that I've made out of card that I'm going to decorate. And I've added some tassels at the bottom made out of plastic bags. But again, this could be newspaper, it could be coloured paper, or it could be fabrics. It's entirely up to you. It depends on what you've got lying around the house. Let's just pop that down and let's have a look at what we need to make this flag. So you need some sort of a paper or a card. So these are quite colourful papers you could use. I've got another piece of card here, is a little bit thicker. And also got a bit of paper. This must be a little bit too thin, but I'm going to use that to make a pattern later. And I've got my plastic bags for my tassels. I've got PVA glue. And I also made some spreaders for my glue. I've made this out of a margarine pot. And when I cut it out, I noticed the edges are really, really sharp. It's got a point on it there. So you need to round those edges off with a pair of scissors. You would definitely need an adult supervision, or actually get an adult to do it for you, please. I have pencil, pair of scissors, stapler, some sellotape and some double-sided tape. You don't necessarily need that, but if you've got some, you can use it. And I've got some sticks. So I'm going to choose a stick for my pole, for my flag. So to start off with, I'll put a piece of cardboard down on my table to protect the work surface from the glue that we're going to be using in a moment. So there we go, there's our flag, and that's the flag that's going to be glued onto our stick like so. Okay, so the next piece, I'm going to open up the flag and I'm going to take some PVA glue. I'm going to put my PVA glue onto my cardboard so we don't make a mess on the table. And then I'm going to use one of my spreaders here, the one that's not got the sharp edges on, dip it into my glue. And then I'm going to start in the middle and work my way out. And with this spreader, you can get a nice, smooth, flat surface with your glue. And we're going to make sure that we cover the cardboard completely with the glue. So we're going to make sure we go right to the edges. So we don't want too much on there, but we want to make sure there's a nice layer that covers the whole thing. Nearly there. There we go, right out to the edges. That's it, fantastic. There we go. So I'm just going to put that to one side for a minute, just to let that go tacky. Meanwhile, I'm going to cut out my my ribbons, my little tassels that are going to go in the edge of my flag out of the plastic. Okay, my flag's just starting to dry a little bit. We don't want it to go too dry, so you might want to get these tassels ready actually before you do with gluing. But I do like to let the air get to it a little bit, and then it just speeds up the drying process a little bit. So the next thing I'm going to do is take my tassels, starting at the very top of my flag, and I'm just going to pop it in quite a way in actually. It's about halfway along that bit there, starting at the top. See, that's actually sticking really well already. Then I'm going to pop in my white one and another black one. And there's just enough room at the bottom there to get another white one in. That's fantastic. Now let's get our pole. We're going to add this to the centre. So let's just lift that up at the edge there, and you can see where that crease is. So that was like the edge of our book there. And I'm going to pop that stick just in the middle there. And again, what I'm doing is I'm leaving a little bit at the end there so I can add some tassels later if I want to. I might decide not to, but we'll see. Then I'm going to push that down firmly and pushing that stick right into that corner there, like so. Now this is a good idea now to put just a couple of staples in, because PVA glue does take quite a while to dry. So I'm just going to pick that up slightly and pop a staple down at the bottom here in a couple of places, and then I'm going to pop a couple at the top there. Again, staples can be a bit tricky to push down. You need quite a bit of stroke to push those down, so you might want to get somebody to give you a hand with that. There we go. So let's just gently lift that up, and there we have it. Now how easy was that? So we have our flag, the tassels in. So what we need to do next is decorate this surface and put some tassels on the end and braid our sticks. I'm just going to let that dry for a little while and get ready for the next bit. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some shape to the bottom of our tassels there. Can you see I've already started putting in a little point there? And it just mimics this up here, because in Carnival we do like repeating patterns. It gives it a really good finish. So I'm just going to take the end of my tassel and I'm just going to cut down at an angle to make a point. Again, you might want somebody to help you do this. There we go. Let's have a little look, see what that looks like. Okay, can you see the points on there? Got a lovely movement, hasn't it? Got a lovely shape to it. That's good. Okay, so I've got my tassels on. I've decorated the stick at the bottom, and now we just want to put some decorations on our surface here. So this really, you know, if you've used plain card here, like a white card or anything like that, you can draw on here, you can do whatever you want to do on there. Now I've printed off some images of some bees. Okay, so you can cut these out and glue them on, or you can make your own. This I just drew on some paper, coloured in and cut out. And we're just simply going to use a bit of the PVA glue that we was using earlier, using the spreader. Now I'm going to take some of that glue off of there, so there's quite a bit on there, and just pop just a little bit, thin layer on there. And then I'm going to pop my bee on there. Let's push him down. And then I'm going to pop a flower. Can you see that? And I'm going to pop a flower in the middle. So let's put a little bit more glue on there. Now it might look a little bit messy with the glue, but once it dries, it will dry clear. And let's put another bit of glue down there, and then I can put the other bit on. There we go. Pop a little flower in the middle, and then another little bee down the bottom there. There we go. Let's turn that around so you can see. Okay, so now I have my own unique flag. So once you've made your flag, you'll see that it's very sticky and very gluey still. You most probably need to leave that for a good couple of hours to let it dry, or put it outside in the sunshine and it will speed it up a little bit. So this is the one flag that I've just made, and this is the one that I made before. Now this one's slightly different. I didn't have a design for this one. I just literally was just experimenting with the plasticking card. So what I did with this one, it was the pieces I cut off of the tassels here to make a point. I used those little pieces to decorate in here. I actually think it looks a little bit like a Fred Flintstone costume. Anyway, that's the end of demo number 2. Yay! Thank you for taking part in today's session. I hope you enjoyed making your own carnival flag. Please take photographs and upload them to our Facebook page. I would love to see what you've been creating. Tune in next week. We'll be working with Katie on some dance moves to carnival music. That's goodbye from the new Carnival Company for now. Bye bye.